Okay, doing one today on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III receiver channel expansion only. I recently did one on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III with a Siltronics VFO on how to hook up a VFO and the frequency expansion on the Mark III transmitter, but that has nothing to do with the receiver. The receiver is separate, and hence if you mod the transmitter, that does nothing for the receiver and vice versa. And people are like, how do you do the receiver? Well, Browning made two factory versions of the receiver as it relates to the frequency of it. All Browning receivers use a VFO or a variable dial here. And the original one from Browning, and if you see the, I guess that's marked a tuning switch here in the center underneath, and it's marked manual, crystal 1 and crystal 2. That's from the factory. And what that does was on manual, you would be on the variable dial up here. And we'll get back to that on second. And you could add two crystals. I think it's 16 megahertz, but I might be off on that. Haven't done my research yet. But you could add two crystals. Say you stood by on channel 38 and 40, which this does not go to from the factory. You could get a channel, 38 or 55 or whatever channel you wanted, and put in the crystals for the receiver. And if you got the correct crystal, you go to crystal 1, and you would be on that channel. Let's say that's channel 38. You wanted to talk 38 sideband, so you got a 38 crystal. And let's say the other one you was on 55. So you get a 55 crystal and plug into the slot. Now you'd be on 55. And that would be your only options. Manual on this original version went to a couple channels below 1. That's channel 1 on the dial. And it went below, maybe 3 channels or so. And it went up to about channel 26, 27, something like that. And that's all it went up to on this version. There was no, 40 channels or high frequency extension on this receiver. So anyway, as it got later and the 40 channels were coming out and all that, people were like, hey, we want this receiver to do more and have, the upper channels and be wider. So Browning from the factory updated their factory receivers, and this one's a junker with the face tore off and all that. But anyway, this one I had from the factory, that they went from manual crystal 1, crystal 2, and like I said, you just have manual, 25 channels or so, and then you had to add, your choice of two crystals. They went from, it's two manuals. CB is the same dial as the original one. On CB, this updated version, you would use the top portion of this dial here, and you would have the same minus 2 or 3 channels, and one using the top scale, and you'd go up past 23A, 23B, to about what is that in it don't say the frequency. That's about channel 28, something like that. So you would go up to about 28 on this one, on that first CB band. So on this one, though, instead of going to a crystal, you go to high frequency, HF, and that would take you to a higher band. And if you go to the bottom scale of this dial, and they updated the dial from the single dial to the dual dial, and they added a crystal that went to this dial or manual or VFO, whatever you want to call it. And that second crystal, when you go to HF, that bottom scale there marked HF, it starts at 28, which is where the other one ended at. So now you got 28 going on the bottom scale up to channel 59, and you can go one past it, so up to channel 60. So basically, you got, 1 to 28 on CB, and then you got 28 to 60 on high frequency, and you got the dual scale window there. And then it's still got room for the one crystal that you can add for one channel. So if you still wanted to, like, let's say talk on I don't know, 65 or something, or even 6, you can get a crystal for that, and you can put it in there, and that would take you directly to that channel on the receiver. Got nothing to do with the transmitter. So those were the factory options. Now I'm not sure if Browning came out with a mod to change this version into that version. I don't know if Browning did it or if it's an aftermarket or what, but there is a mod, and it even can be found now, on eBay and other places, where if you had this version with the single dial, it would give you the correct crystal for the VFO, and you would have to, change a couple wires, and it would come up with the dual dial in the little kit, and some basic instructions. It wasn't hard to do. So you get the dual dial and the crystal, and you would basically be making this version here with the 1 to 28 into this version here with the 1 to 28 on CB and the 28 to 56. I think it was 56. No, 58. No, make it 60 on the high frequency HF extension. So it came with the parts, this little mod or kit. And like I said, I don't know if that was Browning or not, but somebody made it, and they had a dial like this one and the dual dial, and it came with a crystal, and you had to move a few wires around internally to change this into that. I don't have the crystals, and I don't do the mod. Look on eBay, and other people will have that, not me. But anyway, that's what they're doing to mod this. You didn't need a VFO or any external device or nothing like that. You needed the crystal itself. And then if you wanted to, look where you are, you need the double dial here. And other people sold that. So that's the mod to get the receiver to receive the upper channels and all that. If you got a crystal that was like maybe 40 channels lower than the CB, you could mod it again and get lowers, but your dial would not be accurate. I know of no one who makes a dial for the lowers. That's the only dial they got with the 1 to 28 and then 28 to 56. So that's all I wanted to go through. So most people, if they got a VFO for the transmitter and they go on, the Xtaltronics VF goes up to about channel 70 on the 90, I think. Going by memory, and I'm old, I don't remember crap anymore. But anyway, most people would, if they had this version here with the single dial, and that's how you could find out which one you have. Because if you got this dial that just goes, to 23, not the double dial, then more than likely you got the one that only goes to, 26, 27, whatever it was. If you have the double dial, that means it's been modded, and it has the crystal, where even though, they didn't have anything to change the label here, manual X1, X2, but if you got the double dial, it's probably been modded and you have the high frequency extension. If you got the single dial, it ain't been modded, and you'll probably need that mod or that kit. And again, all that kit had was the crystal and the double dial, and just moving a couple wires, internally. It wasn't a hard mod at all. Pretty easy to install that mod. Alright, that's it for this one. Hope it helps. Too bad me and PayPal screwed up, because I was going to take donates from them, but they messed me out of a lot of money, and I had to go through my bank to get it back. So I'll never use PayPal again. Don't ask. Alright, that's it for this one. By the way, how you like my other hobby? This is my train station and stuff that I like to play with them too, but it's got a long way to go. I just don't have time. Anyway, that's it for this one. Bye.